I remember the exact moment my wife handed me those divorce papers. She stood there in the doorway looking radiant in her fitted athletic wear confidence, radiating from every inch of her newly sculpted body. I had supported her through every step of her weight loss journey, celebrated every milestone, encouraged her when she felt like giving up. I thought helping my wife become her best self was what a good husband did. I never imagined that the moment she reached her goal weight, she would also reach the conclusion that she could do better than me. As I stared at those papers, my hands trembling, I realized the devastating truth. The woman I loved had not just transformed her body. She had transformed into someone I no longer recognized. Before I tell you how this story unfolds, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city in the comments below. If you have ever felt like you gave everything to someone only to have them turn their back on you, hit that like button and subscribe, because what happened next? Well, let us just say, Amanda learned a lesson she will never forget. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. I met Amanda when I was 20 years old, and she was 22. It was one of those perfect meet-cute moments you see in romantic comedies. I was grabbing coffee at a small shop in downtown Portland, Oregon, and she accidentally bumped into me, spilling her latte all over my shirt. She was mortified, apologizing profusely, with her cheeks flushed red. But all I could see was this beautiful woman with long brown hair, green eyes that sparkled with genuine concern, and a smile that made my heart skip a beat. She was about 5 feet 6 inches tall, slim at around 135 pounds, and she had this natural grace about her that drew me in instantly. We started dating, and those first 2 years felt like a dream. Amanda worked as a marketing coordinator at a small tech company, making around $48,000 a year, while I had just landed my first job as a software engineer, earning $75,000 annually. We were not rich, but we were comfortable, and more importantly, we were happy. Our weekends were filled with hiking trips to the Columbia River Gorge, cooking elaborate dinners together in our tiny apartment kitchen, and binge-watching shows on Netflix while wrapped in blankets on the couch. When I proposed on a rainy Saturday at the Japanese garden, she cried and said yes without hesitation. We got married 6 months later in a small ceremony with close friends and family. The first 3 years of our marriage were everything I had hoped for. We bought a small house in the suburbs, a modest 3-bedroom place that needed some work but felt like ours. I had saved up $60,000 from an inheritance my grandfather left me, and I put $55,000 toward the down payment. Amanda contributed $5,000 from her savings. We were building a life together, and I felt genuinely blessed to wake up next to her every morning. But then things started to change. Amanda got promoted to marketing manager, which was wonderful, but the new position came with significantly more pressure. She was working longer hours, dealing with demanding clients, and managing a team of 5 people who seemed to constantly need her attention. I watched as the stress began taking its toll. She started eating to cope with the anxiety. Fast food on the way home became routine. Late-night snacks while finishing work. Emails turned into bags of chips and pints of ice cream. I never said anything critical because I loved her regardless, and I figured everyone handles stress differently. Over the next 2 years, Amanda gained 45 pounds, going from 135 to 180. I noticed how she stopped wanting to go out with friends, how she would avoid cameras at family gatherings, how she would stand in front of the mirror with tears in her eyes, pinching at her waist. My heart broke watching her lose confidence in herself. I would tell her every single day, "You are beautiful to me, Amanda. Always have been, always will be." I meant every word. Her weight did not change how I felt about her. I still reached for her hand when we walked, still kissed her goodnight, still felt lucky to be her husband. But one evening in January, everything shifted. I came home to find Amanda sitting on our bedroom floor, surrounded by clothes that no longer fit, crying into her hands. She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes and said, "I do not recognize myself anymore. I want to feel like me again." My heart ached for her, but I also felt a surge of determination. "Whatever you need," I told her, "I will support you every step of the way." That weekend we sat down together and created a plan. I spent hours researching healthy eating programs, meal prep ideas, and local gyms. I found Elevate Fitness, a high-end gym about 15 minutes from our house, and signed Amanda up for an $89 monthly membership without hesitation. Every Sunday we went grocery shopping together, filling our cart with fresh vegetables, lean chicken breast, quinoa, and fruit. I set my alarm for 5:30 every morning to make her a smoothie before she left for her 6 o'clock gym session. Banana spinach protein powder almond milk. I wanted her to know I was all in on this journey with her. Amanda threw herself into the routine with impressive dedication. Late-night snacks while finishing work. Emails turned into bags of chips and pints of ice cream. I never said anything critical because I loved her regardless, and I figured everyone handles stress differently. Over the next 2 years, Amanda gained 45 pounds, going from 135 to 180. She was at the gym 5 days a week, sometimes 6, arriving right when they opened at 6 a.m. and staying for an hour and a half. I would send her encouraging text messages throughout the day, bought her new workout clothes when her old ones got too loose, and celebrated every small victory. When she lost 8 pounds in the first month, I cooked her favorite meal, grilled salmon with roasted asparagus, and we toasted with sparkling water to her progress. But around month 4, I started noticing small changes that made me uneasy. Amanda had lost 35 pounds by then, and was looking more and more like her old self. But her behavior was shifting in ways I had not anticipated. She began spending longer hours at the gym, extending her sessions from 90 minutes to over 2 hours. When I suggested joining her for a workout, she declined, saying she needed to focus and I would slow her down. The way she said it, with a slight edge to her voice, stung more than I wanted to admit. One Tuesday evening, I noticed she had shopping bags from an expensive athletic wear store. When I asked about them, she showed me a new set of workout clothes, a bright coral sports bra, and matching leggings that fit like a second skin. They looked great on her, but something bothered me. She had not mentioned going shopping, and we usually discussed bigger purchases. It felt like a small secret, and I did not understand why. Then there were the selfies. Amanda, who had barely used social media during her heavier years, was suddenly posting gym photos on Instagram regularly. Pictures of her flexing mid-workout shots, motivational quotes, overlaid on images of her getting smaller and smaller. I told myself I was being paranoid. She was proud of her transformation. That was normal. That was healthy. But late at night, when she was scrolling through her phone and smiling at messages I could not see, I felt a knot forming in my stomach that I could not quite explain. By month 6 and 7, Amanda had reached her goal weight back down to 135 pounds. She looked incredible. There was no denying it. Her arms were toned, her stomach was flat with visible ab definition. Her legs were lean and muscular. She had worked incredibly hard, and the physical results were undeniable. But the woman looking back at me from across the dinner table felt like a stranger. The warmth between us had evaporated. She no longer said "I love you" when I said it first. When I reached out to hug her, she would stiffen slightly, or find a reason to pull away after just a second or two. At night, she slept facing the wall, as far from my side of the bed as possible. Our conversations during meals became shorter and shorter, reduced to logistical discussions about bills and schedules. The intimacy we once shared, both emotional and physical, had disappeared entirely. Amanda started dressing differently too. She bought a whole new wardrobe: short dresses, skinny jeans, crop tops that showed off her flat stomach. She got blonde highlights in her hair, started wearing makeup to work every day, and began using an expensive perfume I had not bought for her. When I complimented her, telling her she looked amazing, she would just say thanks in a flat voice and walk away. No more "thank you, honey," or the playful smile she used to give me when I noticed her efforts. The distance grew wider every day. Amanda went to the gym not just in the mornings anymore, but also in the evenings and all day on weekends. She joined yoga classes, spinning sessions, kickboxing groups, always without me. When I asked if I could come along sometime, she actually laughed. "You would not keep up," she said. "I am at an advanced level now." The condescension in her voice was impossible to miss. I felt like I was being evaluated and found lacking, and it hurt in a way I had never experienced before. One Thursday night, I decided to make a special dinner to try to reconnect with her. I cooked steak with garlic mashed potatoes, comfort food I knew she used to love. When she walked in and saw the plates on the table, she wrinkled her nose. "I cannot eat this," she said, "too many carbs. I am having a salad." She proceeded to make herself a plain salad with grilled chicken. She had meal prepped, and we sat across from each other in complete silence. I ate my steak while watching her pick at lettuce leaves, and the rejection felt like a physical weight on my chest. "Amanda," I finally said, "is everything okay? You seem distant." She did not even look up from her plate. "I am fine," she replied, "just focused on my goals." "What goals?" I asked, genuinely confused. "You have already hit your target weight. You look incredible." She set down her fork and met my eyes for the first time in weeks. "You would not understand," she said coldly, then stood up and left the table, leaving me sitting there alone, with 2 full plates of food. The suspicion I had been trying to ignore became impossible to dismiss. One evening, while Amanda was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I glanced over and saw a name flash on the screen, Derek, with a flexing arm emoji next to it. The message preview read, "Great session today. You are getting stronger every day. Cannot wait for tomorrow." My stomach dropped. I did not unlock her phone or read further because I have always believed in respecting privacy. But that text message planted a seed of doubt that grew rapidly in my mind. Amanda started spending more time on her phone, smiling at messages, typing quickly, then hiding the screen when I walked into the room. When I asked who she was texting, she would say, "Just a friend from the gym," in a tone that told me the conversation was over. The way she angled her body away from me, the defensive set of her shoulders, everything screamed that something was wrong. I did not want to be a controlling, jealous husband, but every instinct I had was telling me that my marriage was falling apart. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Friday evening in late August. I had worked a long day fixing bugs in code and sitting through endless meetings, and I was exhausted when I walked through the front door. Amanda was sitting on the couch, dressed in a black dress I had never seen before her. Makeup flawless, her hair styled. For a split second, I thought maybe she was planning a surprise date night for us, but the look on her face told me otherwise. "We need to talk," she said, her voice void of emotion. I sat down slowly, my heart starting to race. She reached beside her and pulled out a stack of papers, sliding them across the coffee table toward me. "I want a divorce." The words hit me like a truck. I stared at the papers, seeing the official letterhead, the legal language, my name typed in black ink. What I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. Why Amanda would not even look me in the eye. "I have changed," she said matter-of-factly. "I am not the same person I was when we got married. I want different things now." "What different things?" I asked, feeling panic rising in my chest. She finally met my gaze, and her eyes were cold, detached. "I want someone who matches my lifestyle," she said slowly. "Someone who is ambitious, fit-driven." Each word was a knife. Those qualities she was listing, I had supported every single one of them in her. I had paid for her gym, bought her healthy food, encouraged her every single day. And now she was telling me I was not good enough. "Is this about Derek?" The question came out before I could stop it. Amanda's eyes widened, just a fraction caught off guard. She did not deny it, and that told me everything. "Derek understands me," she said. "Defensively, he sees my potential. He pushes me to be better." "I pushed you to be better." My voice was louder now, anger mixing with heartbreak. "I supported you every single day." "You supported the old me," she shot back, "the version of me who was settling. I am not settling anymore. So I am settling now." I could hear my voice breaking. "You are a good guy, Tyler," she said in a patronizing tone that made my blood boil, "but I deserve more. I deserve someone who is on my level." In that moment, looking at this woman I had loved for 8 years, I realized she was gone. The Amanda the first. Married the one who spilled coffee on me and apologized with genuine sweetness, who cried happy tears when I proposed, who promised to love me in sickness and health. She did not exist anymore. This new version saw me as beneath her, as something she had outgrown along with her old clothes. "Sign the papers," she said, standing up and grabbing her purse. "I want this done quickly. I am staying at a friend's place tonight. I will come get my things this weekend." She walked toward the door, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor, and then she was gone. I sat alone in our living room, holding divorce papers that demanded I give her alimony, half of our house equity, and half of my retirement fund. The silence in the house was deafening, and I felt like my entire world had just collapsed around me. I sat on that couch until 3 in the morning, staring at those papers, reading through the demands over and over. The pain was overwhelming, but underneath it something else was building. Anger. Not the hot, explosive kind, but a cold, focused fury at the injustice of it all. I had given Amanda everything. My support, my money, my time, my unwavering belief in her. And this was how she repaid me. By cheating on me emotionally, if not physically, with her trainer. And then demanding I finance her exit from our marriage. But then clarity started to cut through the hurt. I thought about all the signs I had ignored. The late-night texts. The way she pulled away from me physically. The secretive shopping trips. Derek. I remembered that text message I had seen on her phone. My wife had been planning this for months, getting herself ready to leave, building a relationship with another man while I paid for the gym membership that facilitated it all. The audacity was breathtaking. Around 4 in the morning, I made a decision. I was not going to beg Amanda to come back. I was not going to plead with her to reconsider or ask her what I could do differently. If she wanted to leave, fine. She could go. But I would be damned if I was going to let her walk away with everything while acting like the victim in this situation. Monday morning, I called a divorce attorney named David Brennan. He came highly recommended by a colleague who had gone through a difficult separation. I sat in his office, a modern space, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, and told him everything. Brennan was in his 50s, sharp-eyed, with the kind of calm confidence that comes from winning battles in courtrooms. "Do you have any evidence of infidelity?" he asked, leaning back in his leather chair. "Not concrete proof," I admitted, "but I have strong suspicions about her personal trainer." Brennan nodded thoughtfully. "We need to be strategic here. Do not sign anything she gave you. Forward me copies of those divorce papers and let me review them." I scanned and emailed the documents that afternoon. Brennan called me back within 2 hours. "Tyler," he said, "she is asking for $2,000 a month in alimony, half of your home equity, which would be about $85,000, and half of your retirement account." I felt my jaw clench. "I paid for most of the house," I said, "and I paid for her gym membership, her new clothes, her food." "Exactly," Brennan replied, "and that works in your favor. But we need more information. We need proof." That evening I remembered something. Amanda had left her iPad at the house, the one she barely used anymore. It was connected to the same iCloud account as her iPhone, which meant her messages would sync across devices. I had never snooped before, had never felt the need to, but desperate times called for desperate measures. I opened the iPad and went straight to the Messages app. There it was. Months of conversations with Derek. I scrolled back to 3 months earlier, and what I found made my hands shake. The messages were flirty, inappropriate, crossing every line a married woman should never cross. "Tyler does not get me like you do," Amanda had written. Derek responded, "You deserve someone who appreciates all of you, inside and out," followed by a suggestive emoji. Another message from Amanda. "I cannot stop thinking about our session yesterday." Derek replied me neither. That was not just a workout with a kissing emoji. I took screenshots of everything, my heart pounding. The more recent messages were even worse. "When are you leaving him?" Derek had asked. "Soon," Amanda replied. "I am filing this week. Then we can be together for real." Derek's response, "Cannot wait, babe. You and me, finally." But it was not just text messages. I found evidence of dinner, dates, movie outings, even a weekend trip to the coast that Amanda had told me was a work conference. There were hotel receipts, restaurant bills, all time-stamped and geotagged. The affair had been going on for at least 3 months, possibly longer. I forwarded everything to Brennan. The next morning, I reviewed our financial records with a clear head. The house down payment had been $60,000. I contributed $55,000 from my grandfather's inheritance. Amanda put in $5,000. Since then, I had been paying 70% of the monthly mortgage, while she covered 30%. I had also paid for her gym membership 8 months at $89 each, which totaled over $700. Add in the workout clothes, supplements, and healthy food I bought specifically for her, and I had invested well over $1,000 into her transformation. Money I never asked her to repay because I thought we were partners investing in our future together. Brennan called me after reviewing everything. "Tyler," he said, his voice carrying a hint of satisfaction with this evidence of adultery and your significantly higher financial contribution to marital assets. We can negotiate a much better settlement. In Oregon, infidelity affects alimony eligibility. She will not get a dime if we can prove fault. Are you ready to fight this? Yes, I said without hesitation. I am ready. 1 week later, we had a meeting scheduled with both legal teams. I walked into the conference room at Brennan's office with my head held high. Amanda arrived with her attorney, a woman named Sharon, and to my absolute shock, Derek was with her. He sat beside Amanda like he had every right to be there, his arm casually draped across the back of her chair. Amanda looked confident, almost smug like she had already won. Sharon, Amanda's attorney, began presenting their demands. $2,000 monthly in alimony for 3 years. Half of the home equity, approximately $85,000. Half of Tyler's retirement account. She laid it out like it was perfectly reasonable, like Amanda deserved to be rewarded for blowing up our marriage. Brennan let her finish, then calmly opened a folder in front of him. "Before we proceed," he said, his voice professional and cold, "I would like to present evidence of Mrs. Amanda's adultery during the marriage." He slid copies of the text message screenshots across the table. Then came printed photos from social media showing Amanda and Derek together at restaurants, bars, the coast. Finally, hotel and dinner receipts with dates and times. Amanda's face went pale. Derek shifted uncomfortably in his seat, suddenly looking like he wanted to be anywhere else. Sharon picked up the papers, scanning them quickly, then turned to Amanda with barely concealed anger. "Is this accurate?" she asked. Amanda opened her mouth, closed it, then nodded slightly. She could not deny it. The evidence was irrefutable. Brennan continued, unmoved by the tension in the room. "In the state of Oregon, adultery is a factor in determining alimony. My client is willing to discuss a fair division of assets, but what you are requesting is neither fair nor legally justified." He slid a new document across the table. "This is our counteroffer." The terms were simple. No alimony. Amanda would receive $20,000 from the home equity, roughly proportional to her actual financial contribution. She would have no claim to my retirement fund. We would split furniture and household items 50-50. The divorce would be finalized within 60 days. And here is the critical part, Brennan added, his eyes fixed on Sharon. "If this goes to trial, all of this evidence becomes part of the public record. I will leave you to consider what that means for your client's reputation." Amanda looked at me for the first time since the meeting started, tears welling in her eyes. "Tyler," she began, her voice cracking. But before she could finish, Derek suddenly stood up. "Amanda," he said, avoiding eye contact with everyone, "I need to go. This is too complicated. I cannot do this." And just like that, he walked out of the conference room, leaving Amanda sitting there with her mouth open in shock. I watched the realization dawn on her face. Derek, the man she had thrown away our marriage for, the one who supposedly understood her and saw her potential, had just abandoned her the moment things got difficult. He did not want a relationship with baggage. He did not want drama or legal battles or a woman who came with complications. He just wanted the fun, the excitement, the affair without consequences. Sharon leaned over and whispered something to Amanda. I could not hear the words, but I saw Amanda's shoulders slump in defeat. After a long moment, she looked at Sharon and nodded. "I will sign," she said quietly, her voice barely audible. I did not feel triumphant in that moment. I did not feel victorious or happy. What I felt was relief. Relief that I would not be taken advantage of. Relief that justice in some small way had been served. Relief that I could finally close this chapter and move forward with my life. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I stood in my house, the one I had fought to keep, and looked around at the changes I had made. I repainted the walls in cool grays and deep blues. I bought new furniture, modern pieces that reflected my taste, rather than compromises we had made as a couple. I hung artwork I liked, set up a home office exactly how I wanted it, created a space that felt authentically mine. I started going to the gym not because I was trying to prove anything to Amanda or compete with her transformation, but because I wanted to take care of myself. I needed an outlet for stress, a way to rebuild my confidence, a routine that was just for me. I hired a trainer, a guy named Marcus, who became not just my coach but a genuine friend. We worked out 4 days a week, and slowly I started seeing changes. I lost the 15 pounds I had gained during the stressful final year of my marriage. I built muscle. I felt stronger, and not just physically. I reconnected with friends I had neglected while trying desperately to save a marriage that was already over. My college roommate Jason started inviting me to weekend hiking trips again. We went camping in the Cascade Mountains, spent long evenings around campfires talking about life, laughed until our sides hurt at stupid jokes. I remembered what it felt like to be myself, not just someone's husband, not just the guy who was not good enough, but Tyler, just me. I rediscovered hobbies I had abandoned. I started reading again, actual books, instead of just scrolling through my phone. I cooked elaborate meals for myself, experimenting with recipes and techniques, enjoying the process without worrying if someone else would approve. I took a solo road trip down the California coast, stopping at small towns, hiking trails, beaches, going wherever I wanted without consulting anyone. The freedom was intoxicating. Through mutual acquaintances, I eventually heard updates about Amanda. Derek had broken up with her after about 2 months, apparently deciding that a relationship was too much commitment for him. She tried to reach out to me multiple times, calls and texts, that I never answered. I had blocked her number after the divorce finalized, and I had no intention of going back. Friends told me she was struggling financially, renting a small studio apartment, finding it hard to maintain the lifestyle she had grown accustomed to when I was paying for most things. She still went to the gym, still posted on social media, but there was a loneliness in those photos that even filters could not hide. I wish I could say I felt satisfaction hearing about her struggles, but the truth is I felt nothing. Not happiness at her misfortune, not sadness for what we lost, not anger at what she did, just nothing. She was a chapter of my life that had closed a story that had ended, and I had no desire to reread those pages. One Sunday evening, I sat on my back porch with a cup of coffee, watching the sun set over the neighborhood. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, and the air had that perfect, late summer warmth. I thought about everything that had happened, all the pain and betrayal, the legal battles and sleepless nights, and I realized something important. I had learned that you can give someone everything: your love, your support, your trust, your money, your time, and they can still choose to walk away. They can still decide you are not enough, even when you have been more than enough all along. But that does not mean you stop being a good person. It does not mean you become bitter or closed off or afraid to love again. It means you learn to give those precious things, your time, your energy, your devotion, to people who truly value them, to people who see your worth and appreciate your efforts, to people who would never dream of discarding you the moment they think they have better options. Amanda taught me that transformation is not always beautiful. Sometimes people change into someone you do not recognize. Sometimes they grow in directions that take them away from you, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. She became someone who measured worth in Instagram likes and gym sessions and physical appearances, someone who confused self-improvement with superiority, someone who mistook her personal trainer's attention for genuine connection. But that is okay, I thought, taking another sip of coffee. Because I changed too. I became someone who knows his worth, someone who will not beg to be chosen, someone who understands that real love is not about what you can get from a person after they transform, but about who you choose to be when they are at their lowest. I was there for Amanda when she cried over clothes that did not fit. I made her smoothies at 5:30 in the morning. I celebrated every pound she lost like it was a personal victory for both of us. And when she decided I was not good enough, I did not crumble. I did not fall apart. I stood up, fought for what was fair, and walked away with my dignity intact. I chose myself. I chose peace over trying to convince someone to see my value. I chose freedom over clinging to a relationship built on my sacrifices and her convenience. Now, sitting here in the quiet evening air, I felt something I had not felt in over a year. I felt genuinely content, not because I had won some battle or gotten revenge, but because I was free. Free from a marriage that had become one-sided. Free from constantly wondering if I was enough. Free from walking on eggshells around someone who had already mentally and emotionally checked out. Free to build a life that made me happy with or without a partner. So if you are out there right now supporting someone, loving someone, giving them everything you have, make sure they are doing the same for you. Make sure it is a partnership, not a one-way street. Make sure they see your value and appreciate your efforts. Because real love, the kind that lasts, the kind that matters, it is a two-way street. It is about lifting each other up, not one person climbing while using the other as a stepping stool. And if someone cannot see your value, if they take everything you give and then tell you it is not enough, walk away. Protect your peace. Choose yourself. Because your peace, your mental health, your self-respect, they are worth more than anyone's presence in your life, no matter how much you love them. I learned that lesson the hard way, but I learned it well. And now I am building a life I am proud of, surrounded by people who genuinely care, doing things that bring me joy, and sleeping peacefully at night, knowing I did everything right, even when someone else did everything wrong. Have you ever been in a situation where you supported someone through a major life change only to have them leave you behind once they reached their goals? I want to hear your story. Drop a comment below and let me know what happened and how you handled it. And if this story resonated with you, if you have ever felt undervalued or taken for granted, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel for more real-life stories about resilience, growth, and choosing yourself when others will not choose you. Share this video with anyone who needs to hear that they deserve better, that their worth is not determined by someone else's inability to see it. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that endings can be beginnings, that heartbreak can lead to healing, and that sometimes the best thing someone can do is walk away so you can find your way back to yourself. Take care of yourselves out there, and remember, you are enough exactly as you are.